I want to give you a couple of stories here that are amazing. 3 North Dakota sheriffs will not enforce the governor of North Dakota's new COVID mandates. They say it's unconstitutional. They're not going to do it. In Orange County, the sheriff there will not enforce the coronavirus-only violations during curfew. He says unconstitutional, not going to do it. We also have somebody who's taking a beating from everybody's favorite governor, Cuomo. It says he's not going to do it. And Cuomo came out and said he's arrogant and out of control. He said he won't enforce Cuomo's Thanksgiving limit. His name is Richard Giardino. He is the sheriff of Fulton County, New York. Richard, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on, Glenn. I listen to you frequently. What I appreciate is most shows only give you 2 or 3 minutes, and you really can't have an in-depth constitutional discussion. And you allowing me to do that, I think, is a big service to the community.
Well, you just ate 30 seconds of your 2 minutes. So, I'm kidding. So tell me, because this is really important to me. I don't think people understand that sheriffs do not answer to the governor. They don't answer to any agency. You don't answer to the president. You answer to the Constitution and the people, correct?
Correct. The governor is the only one who can remove a sheriff or the voters at an election, and the governor can only do it if there's a crime or if there's malfeasance in office. But we both take an oath to the Constitution, so I'm not against the governor. I'm for the Constitution, Glenn.
Correct. So tell me about his Thanksgiving limit and what's happening in New York and why you're standing against it.
Well, first of all, it's through an executive order. And our legislature abdicated their responsibility months ago when they turned everything over to the governor. And that allows him to issue edicts, or what we call executive orders. I have to explain what he can do by the Constitution first. He can issue an executive order saying you have to have a face mask on at a store, a restaurant, or bar. You can have to close at 10 o'clock. The table's got to be this or that. That's perfectly constitutional because he controls all the administrative agencies, State Liquor Authority and the Health Department. So that's fine. That's why you can't take issue with him saying, close your store at this time, keep people apart. But when he tells people what they can and can't do in the privacy of their own home, there's a heightened constitutional balancing act. And I have my obligations to the Constitution, and there's no way to enforce this. It's not like he keeps saying it's a law, but a law has a penalty. So like if you're in a bar and you stay open past 10, they can fine you. Or they can fine you if your waitresses aren't wearing masks. There's no penalty for an executive order about how many people you invite to your home for Thanksgiving.
And isn't an executive order, a law goes through the legislature and the governor signs it. That's how, I just know because I was a bill on Capitol Hill when I was a kid. And that's the way it works. It becomes a law once it goes through the proper channels. So how do executive orders work when they want to enforce them?
Well, again, you're 100% right, and most of us in second or third grade were taught the legislature passes the bill, the governor either signs or vetoes the bill. If he signs it, it's a law. Mm-hmm. Basic common constitutional law. How he can exercise an executive order is he controls the State Liquor Authority and, say, the Health Department, right? You get a license as a business from the Health Department. You got to comply with the restaurant rules, and from the State Liquor Authority for a bar. So there's sanctions, and they can have administrative action against you. So they can close a bar and fine you because you have a license from the state. You don't need a license to live in your house. You know what I mean? So when you get to the executive order that goes into somebody's home, then you run into a problem. So I don't want to get too deep into the 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendment, but I can tell you this. I've been contacted from around this country and around my own state saying, thank you for standing up, thank you for speaking up. And I'll tell you, a lot of sheriffs and law enforcement have said, look, we can't execute the executive order. But the reason they give properly so, is we just don't have the manpower. There's no sanction attached, and we're not going to go to somebody's house. It's really not practical. And the fact that he ordered it is what put a lot of people's back up in the air, got their spine out of line.
So can I? You're just such an amazing guy. Can you just fill in some blanks and just? You went to law school, right? So you graduated. You were an attorney, right?
Well, I went to law school, and Andrew Cuomo was 2 years ahead of me at the same law school. He probably doesn't know who I was. But he had a reputation even in law school of being a hard charger, especially on the basketball court, which he's carried throughout his career. Yeah. So he doesn't know me. I'm just a little piddly sheriff. But I went to law school, graduated with the Nassau County DA's office. Then I became a district attorney in upstate New York. And then a county court judge.
What, can you not hold down a job, or how did you get to? I mean, you accomplished more in your first 35 years of life than most people do in a lifetime.
It's called a severe case of attention deficit disorder. But I will note that both me and the governor have, he's held 3 jobs, the secretary of HUD, and he's been the attorney general and the governor. I mean, he's got a great career path, and I've had 3 jobs. Mine have all been on the local level, but I'm very pleased where I live and work. People have been 100%, not 100%. Most people have been supportive of what I'm doing for them as a sheriff and as a judge and DA in the past.
I just want to just throw these things out. You were an instructor of trial tactics at Albany Law School. You have been on the board of the Chamber of Commerce. You've been a firefighter for 22 years, and now you're also sheriff. I mean, it's an impressive resume. Tell me about the mood of the community in New York, where you are in Fulton County.
Well, the mood in Fulton County is they kind of agree with my statement that they're adults. They've listened for 8 months about the precautions. Most people are taking precautions. We're a very low infection rate county in the state. The last I checked, we were 1.3%, which is very low. People take it serious here. They have loved ones. My mother's in a nursing home, so I didn't get to see her for 6 months except through a window. We had 28 deaths in our county, and we have 55,000 people, but the 28 deaths were mostly as a result of COVID in a private nursing home that had visiting nurses from New York City. And I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying that our numbers come from a nursing home. The only thing you forgot, and it's not on my resume, and Bill O'Reilly and I sat together at a judge's dinner, and I gave him a ride to the airport. He probably wouldn't remember me, but it was in Albany County. It was 20 years ago. So next time he's on, tell him I was a judge at the time, says hi.
Yeah. Okay, I will. The problem that we have in America, I think, is that people who are in authority are just shutting everybody down and not allowing even honest questions to be asked. It's just, that's the way it is, and you're stupid, or you're a rebel, or you just want everybody to die. And I think that's what's causing a lot of the angst in America. I think a lot of people are exactly how you described them. They don't want to kill people. They are reasonable. They can handle themselves. Just treat me like an adult, not like a 7-year-old.
2 comments on that. Most of the people and I've been contacted from throughout this country. It's amazing what a great country you have. I had a message from one woman who said she hopes that I understand that the blood of all those who die in Fulton County after Thanksgiving is on my hands. And when I go to the emergency room with COVID, she hopes the nurses are busy working on the other people I tried to kill and that I die a horrible death. Kind of nice lady,
Jeez.
Obviously. So, and she left a message. But I've also had so many strong Americans say, thank you, common sense, speaking up. And listen, no one doubts the deadliness of COVID. We know there's the high-risk people, the elderly. My mom's in a nursing home, 90 years old. She's at high risk. Those with diabetes, I have diabetes. Those who are overweight, we know the high-risk categories. We know that wearing masks, social distancing, disinfecting. We know that reduces deaths and things. But Dr. Fauci's told us since March that we're going to have a rise in cases in the fall and the winter. It's inevitably going to happen. He said it over and over. It's going to spike because of several factors. We're inside. There's, the viralness of it is growing. So he has already told us that. So whether I tell people enjoy your Thanksgiving dinner, or they don't need the anxiety of wondering if the police are going to come to the house. And that's the common theme of this. It's like, and you and I are both constitutionalists, but one thing, a lady put it to me this yesterday. She says, you know what? Would you stop talking like a lawyer and a judge? She says, you keep talking about Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, 14th Amendment. People don't understand or need to know that. And you know what I realized? She's right. The people who call me, say, hey, I don't know what section of the Bill of Rights it is, but there's just something inherently wrong with coming into my house and counting heads on who's eating turkey. And on a side note, along with that, they say to me that, how can he do this? What's the fine? How it started was a week and a half ago. A man came up to me at Stewart's, a local shop, and said, hey, my wife and I are arguing about going to our son's house. Well, there's 14 people going. We don't want to get a ticket or a fine. And so that just set me off, And I said, sir, it was a veteran.
Yeah.
I said, you served our country. You should be able to have Thanksgiving with your family. And I just said, but if you guys are not well and it's risky, don't go. But I got to tell you another funny story, and this one I think is probably the
real quick.
I'll make it quick, okay? Lady says to me, what would your father think of doing this, bucking the governor? I said, my father was a pediatrician for 50 years. He would say, why don't you go to Matilda Cuomo, sit down with Andrew, stop being a knucklehead, stop being a Sicilian, you're both Sicilians, have a nice spaghetti dinner, and decide how you can both work together to better this country and save more people in a constitutional framework. That's what my dad would say.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not going to happen. Richard Giardino, thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you. And thanks for being a sheriff that understands and protects the Constitution.